Hey, I'm Mark Romanak, and you're watching Fishing 411. On this week's episode, we traveled to Vermilion, Ohio. We're going to do a little walleye fishing on the big pond. Stick around because we got lots of cool things to share this week. We have got our hands full here today. Rough seas, no doubt about that. But the fish are biting. So, Bird, when I get this a little closer in here, I'm going to have you take that one off. This is not feeling like a good fish, but it is a fish of some sort. The thing about Lake Erie is you really never know. This is not a high quality Lake Erie walleye, but it could be an eater, or it could be a throwback, which that one's going to be right there. One of the cool things we're seeing in Lake Erie this year is that tremendous year classes in the last couple of years. We're seeing a lot of smallish fish like that. He's too small to worry about. We're going to put him back.
Feeling like a better fish now.
Oh, this is a much better fish than I had, Bird.
Yeah.
Much better fish.
He hadn't been playing around.
There you
go.
There you go. That's a good thing.
I got my middle board.
Well, that would explain why it felt better.
He's still staying down good, and he don't want to come up. A little head shake there.
How are we doing on the counter? All right, you're doing
5.
It's gonna be. Oh, there we go. Okay. Nice job, Bird. The skunk is out of the box. I think folks would find it interesting to know that walleyes that live in Lake Erie are transient fish. They're always on the move. Most of these fish are going to spawn in the western basin, in Michigan waters and in Ohio waters. And then after they spawn, they start migrating east. And as they migrate east, they go through the central basin and into the eastern basin. Our setting here was a town called Port Clinton, but we actually fished over by Vermilion and out of Lorain. So those three communities are right in the middle of this pipeline of walleyes that are traveling from the west, heading to the east.
Nice.
That's
nice
the right flavor.
Fish.
Come on, Bubba. Stay bundled up here.
That's a nice fish, Mark. That's a real nice. That's a fish. Oh, easy.
So get him up here for you. There we go. Thank you, Jesus. Lake Erie is cooperating now. Well, that's what they call a Fish Ohio walleye. Anything over 28, right?
20 inches.
And I'm pretty confident that's over 28 inches. So, you know, roughly about an 8-pound fish. And the thing that excites me about Lake Erie, I get pumped about these big fish, but you guys catch these all the time, don't you?
All the time. It's nice.
Well, back home in Michigan, where we're from, and even in Saginaw Bay, where I fish a lot, a fish like this is, you know, you can go a whole season and not catch a fish like this. So pretty cool. The other neat thing to talk about is we got this on a blade color that's brand new for Yakima. It's part of the Hammer Time Blade series, and this happens to be what they call Pink Confusion. That's the other thing that's a little unique around here. You guys run some pretty gaudy colors on Lake Erie, don't you?
You would never think a pink blade or pink black would do something, and pinks and purples, they work. They work here.
Well, there's no doubt about it, and we heard the fishermen talking about it, and so that's why Yakima wants to add it to their product line. Our best fish today has come on pink, and several of our quality fish have come on pink today.
Absolutely.
So, okay, don't argue with it. Just go with the
Put
flow.
more out. That's the best you can do.
Go with the flow. Well, very cool. That's a good start. We're going to get him in the box, and we're going to see if we can't find some more. Just like, wow. I'm fishing today with Ferd Lohman, and he's an Ohio native. He's a member of the Offshore Tackle Pro Team. He's also a member of the Evinrude Outboards Pro Team, but more importantly, he's representing an organization called Walleyes for Wounded Heroes. Ferd, thanks for having me on board today, buddy.
Pleasure to be here. Yeah. I am Vice President of Walleyes for Wounded Heroes, and what we do is we try to heal our combat injured soldiers and first responders by bringing them out to Mother Nature to heal with her healing powers, catch some fish. We also do some hunting trips too, so it'll be a good time. This is our 5th year, so. And
we're going to be here for 3 or 4 days, 3 days of fishing, and the guys got to travel from all over the country to get here, if I understand this correctly.
We have some guys from Wyoming, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Kentucky. We have them pretty well all over Chicago area, so they come from all around to come up for this 5-day event.
Well, last year when we were here, we were just blown away by how cool this was and how emotional it became. So we're really looking forward to being a part of it again this year. But right now, I think you got to fish on your middle board.
That's what we're here for. Fish on.
Additional considerations provided by the Ultimate Sports Show Tour, Michigan's premier sports shows. Additional considerations provided by Motor Guide, engineered for anglers.
My guest on this week's episode is a man named Ferd Lohman, and Ferd is one of the directors behind Walleye for Wounded Heroes. His cohort is Joe Stelzer. Between these two men, they're the guys who have basically pulled this together. They're the brainchild. They're the the lifeblood behind this organization to make sure that it happens year in and year out. They deserve a lot of credit. What they've done to bring these veterans out and help the healing process is simply amazing.
My friend that's with me this trip, he needs a double lung transplant, and he's never caught a walleye, so I'm hoping that he caught a walleye today. I personally cannot thank this organization enough for the experience that they have given me.
My buddy, Danny, he's here. He was actually in the truck with me when we both got injured over in Iraq. So it was a real good experience to see him again. I haven't seen him in years and catch up with him. I mean, it's really nice.
A lot of things that happen to men that go to war that are very troubling and can last with them for the rest of their lives. And gathering together like this helps these men get the things that are bothering them out. And we can help each other. And it's very soothing and very great program.
I never had to walk them home when they come back from overseas. Last year I was here, and I never cried that much. But when we hit the airport over there, I broke down. And every time I talk about it, it gets to me. A little town like this that honors the vets, they need to come together all the time. Not just for one event or 2 events, all the time. If they don't start recognizing us vets, especially us older ones, what about the younger ones? We gotta help these guys out.
Ferd, I understand you've got about 100 veterans or close to 100 veterans and also first responders. All of these people have been injured in the line of duty, correct?
That's absolutely correct, Mark. All our guys have been injured in the line of duty or in the line of being a first responder. We have close to 100 vets, like you said. We have veterans all the way from the Korean War all the way up to current present times. We actually have 6 vets coming this year that were in Vietnam together. And this was an excuse and a real good one to come together and share times, break bread like, back in the day, and they get to spend some time with their friends that they served with and get some healing in the meantime.
Well, Ferd, how long have you been involved with Walleye for Wounded Heroes?
I've personally been involved with Walleyes for Wounded Heroes for 4 years now. Started out, this will be our 5th year, so we've been going strong for 5 years. we had some guys from Kentucky contact us, wanted to go fishing up at Lake Erie, wounded vets, Purple Heart recipients. So what we did was we kind of threw a little plea out to some local guys up here, charter captains and everything. And the community of Port Clinton and the Lake Erie fishing community really came through with spades, embraced us. They've come through with a lot of good donations and support for us throughout the years. And we've ballooned. We started out the first year with 15 guys, and in 2016, this year, we have 98 guys coming.
Wow.
So, and we're up here for 5 days, 3 days of fishing. So
well, that's kind of what we're about today, is we're trying to find some fish that these heroes can catch in the next few days. What do you think here? Does this look like the right flavor?
yes, it's going to be your right flavor.
It's going to be the right flavor.
And
All
it's
right.
it's a very nice fish, very nice fish. You got 8 foot.
Oh, I see him. I see him.
It's staying down and it doesn't want to come.
Oh, beautiful fish.
That's a
That's what we're
beautiful-
talking about, Bert. Nicely done.
She's coming to you.
We got him. Good job, my
Yeah,
friend.
baby.
Good job.
That's what Lake Erie is known
That's
for.
what we're after right there. That's a spawned out male right there, I'd say. Big male. You know, when it comes to spinner trolling, you can go any direction you want as long as it's downwind. And the reason for that is speed control. It's critical to be able to get your tadpoles to depth, and the only way that you can get them to depth is by controlling lead length and by controlling speed. So in a situation like we're doing today, it's fairly bumpy out here. We're going downwind and we're trying to stay about 1.5 miles an hour. Once we catch fish, we have no recourse but to pick up all our gear, run back upwind, set up again, and come back down through them. You just can't turn around and try to troll into a facing sea like this and maintain good, honest speed control. So the best way to do it, downwind, downwind, downwind. What a person might want to take home and put in the freezer, they don't get much better than that.
Nope.
Additional considerations provided by Procure, ruthlessly effective bait suds. Special considerations provided by Bait Rigs Tackle, America's innovator of fine fishing products, and by Eagle Claw Hooks, proudly made in America since 1925.
Well, since it's time for me to rebait, this is a good time to talk a little bit about night crawlers. A lot of guys don't like fishing night crawlers, and I get it. They're dirty. Between the dirt versions or the paper bedding, it gets all over a boat, and it can trash a boat in no time. Well, one of the tricks that we use for keeping our boat a little cleaner is that we'll take our night crawlers before we're going to fish, and we rinse all the dirt off of them. Then we put them in a small cooler with a little ice and a little water. And what happens is that now you've got these crawlers that are really clean. I can pull this crawler out of here. It's virtually clean, no dirt on it whatsoever. So I can go ahead and hook it up and put it out here. The other advantage of not only keeping our boat clean is that when you soak a night crawler in ice water, they get bigger. They really pump up and they get longer. And here, especially on Lake Erie, bigger crawlers catch bigger fish. It's just that simple. So if you wash your crawlers, pack them on a little ice and a little water, you'll find that your boat will be cleaner, your crawlers will be bigger, and you'll catch more walleyes. This is definitely a better fish. I'm stealing your fish, Bird.
Darn.
Oh man, I don't know, man. You might want to think about taking this one, Bird.
Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
No, come on, I'm going to insist. I'm going to insist you take it. That way if it gets off, I don't have to be the blame. That's a solid fish.
That's
right
a solid fish.
there. Look at that. That's a beautiful thing right there.
That was 75.
A little deeper as that sun's coming up, huh?
Yeah, that kind of tried to do a little.
You got a whole stack of boards in the boat. That's a good thing.
That's a good problem
That's
to
a
have.
good problem to have, is right.
If you're fishing and you have a stack of them in the boat, ooh, that's a good problem to have. 20 foot. 10
I like the way
foot.
that board went back too, and went nice and smooth, just like a walleye would.
Ready?
Yep. Wow. Nicely
Bada
done.
boom, bada bing.
Nicely done. No surprises that we're fishing with offshore boards. Anytime you see us in open water and we're trolling, we're using offshore boards to get our rigs out to the side. One of the things that I think draws people to this product is the fact that they can be rigged different ways for different, different fishing purposes. Now I'm going to lay this one down and I'm going to talk about this board because this is the way we're fishing today. This is the way they come from the factory. It's got the orange OR19 release on the front, and then in the back we've got the red OR16 release. Now the 16 is a little bit unique because when you open it up and look inside it, there's actually a pin in it. So what I can do is I can put my line in the front here, put my line behind the pin in the back, and then as we stack these boards out, when we want to trip one, the line will trip from the front release. The board spins around backwards, but it's still held on the line by the OR16. That allows us to reel the board in, take the board off, and continue to fight the fish. The reason we use that so much is because we'll stack 2 or 3, or in some cases even 4 of these boards per side of the boat in order to get maximum lure coverage out there. So that's just one of the ways you can fish an OR12 side planer board and be effective as a walleye fisherman.
Mark went over some of the ways that he rigs his offshore planer boards. A way I do it, and there's no wrong way, it's what your personal preference is. A lot of guys who run braid or up in the Great Lakes or in the inland lakes, I like the OR18. And what the OR18 does, it lets you adjust the amount of pressure to clamp down so your braids won't slip through the clips. It also locks in and it'll hold on. It's also, I still run the 16 in the back with the pin in it, and I tag it with the tattletale. That way you know when you get a short bite or whatnot. But that heavy duty clip there is really awesome for your braid lines so you don't lose it. Plus, on the inland lakes, when you're hitting bottom and dragging bottom, they don't tend to pop off as much. So that's how I run my offshore boards.
Additional considerations provided by Lowrance Electronics. Find, navigate, dominate. Additional considerations provided by Fishhawk Electronics. Trolling without a fishhawk is called boating.
Walleyes for Wounded Heroes is based out of a place called Little Ted's Cottages. It's on the end of Catawba Point, very close to the boat launch. It's a perfect access site for guys that are looking to have some walleye fishing action. There's another one, Fert. That one grabbed it, just jerked it back. I think they're starting to bite pretty good here, Fert, because I only got one line in the water on my side of the boat. That's a good sign.
That is a very good sign.
That's a good sign. I caught one before I had a chance to reset that line, caught another one, and before I had a chance to reset either of those lines, my third line goes over here, so holy smokes. Thanks, Bert.
Yes, sir.
How far was that one?
This was my long one that hadn't gone for a long time and just got pushed to the outside. So this was that 80-foot lead, so it was a deeper one, but this is it's not an exceptional fish. Feels like a decent fish, but it definitely isn't. This is not another one of your Fish Ohios. That is for sure. But he's staying down nice.
I've seen it.
Acting like a walleye's supposed to act.
Yep.
Whoa!
Ooh, he dove there.
I think he didn't like the looks of the boat there too much, did he? That's a good fish. It's really better. This fish was dogging it. Much better fish than I thought it was. There we go. Well, several times today you've heard us reference lead lengths, 45 feet back, 65 feet back. Those have been the numbers that we've been using to get our leads back behind the planer boards to get our lures down to depth. Well, you may be wondering, how deep are those things running? How deep are those tadpoles running? And we actually know exactly how deep they're running because on my phone here, I've got an app that's produced by Precision Trolling Data. And that app, what essentially it does is it meters how much line you have to let out in order to get certain devices like tadpoles or crankbaits or other things you would troll to target depths. It's deadly, deadly accurate because it allows us to see fish on the graph and then dial our gear in with specific lead lengths to get it exactly where the fish are. Everybody knows that fishing is about depth control, and if you can get your lures in front of fish, you're going to get bit more often than if you're just fishing blindly. Precision Trolling Data is the name of the app. You can get it on an iPhone like I use, or if you prefer, you can get it on an Android. Ferd, that's what they call teasing them into biting. I love these tattle flags because we can see the fish bite even before the board moves.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's amazing, and sometimes makes me wonder what we ever did before we had tattle flags. We just missed a lot of fish.
Absolutely.
That's what it really boils down to. Oh, baby.
Feel like a nice one?
No, it looks like he got the other end, picked up the other line. I might have got a little anxious here on this one. So it's hard to read. One for next year. We'll take a second and talk about how we hook up the offshore boards, because there's a very specific way we do it. I've already got my tadpole and my spinner out there in the water, so I'm just going to grab the line and I'm going to hold it in my finger and I'm going to spin the line a few times. And what I've done is I've created some twists in the lines and I've created a loop. Now I'm going to take the front release and place right on those twists of the line. Now pull it up a little bit so my loop isn't so big. And so now I've got the board attached to the front. Now what I got to do is grab the line again, go to the back, open it up, and I take that OR16 and I put the line behind the clip. And you notice what I'm doing here is I'm pulling a little bit of slack line in here. The reason why we need slack is because these are tattle flags, and for the articulation to work, we need to be able to have a little bit of freedom for the linkage. So once it's hooked up on the front and on the back, we're good to go. We can drop it in the water and it'll fish. Now when we're releasing these, the line of course pops free from the front release, and then what happens is the board is just dangling on the line like this. And that way we can reel the board in without the board actually fighting us. The beauty of that is that not only is it easier for us to reel the board in, but what happens is the fish has nothing to fight against as well. So we end up landing more fish because the fish doesn't have the resistance of the board to fight against. On the water while we were fishing, we got to do a presentation that's near and dear to my heart. We were trolling spinner rigs or night crawler harnesses. We got to use some products that are made by Yakima Bait and also by Offshore Tackle. The actual spinners we were using were called Hammer Time spinners. They're part of the Yakima Bait product line. And the way we were getting those spinners down is a product from Offshore Tackle called the Tadpole Diver. We put the Tadpole Diver together with a Hammer Time spinner, and then we troll them with Offshore Tackle OR12 side planer boards to get them out to the side. It was an absolute deadly combination. The quality of the fish you catch here in Port Clinton is amazing, and the number of fish we catch on spinners, absolutely mind-boggling. We got him. Good job,
baby.
Good job.
That's what Lake Erie is known
That's
for.
what we're after right there. That's a spawned out male right there, I'd say. Hey, I'm Mark Romanek, and you've been watching Fishing 411. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Ferd Lohman for going out and joining us today.
Appreciate you, Tom.
Hey, I'd also like to encourage everyone at home to check out Walleyes for Wounded Heroes. It's an awesome organization. I can't say enough good about it.
Closed captioning is provided by Fishhawk Electronics. Fishing 411 is brought to you by Offshore Tackle, your leaders in trolling technology. Yakima Bait, home of the Rooster Tail. Evinrude Outboards, introducing the E-Tech G2. Starcraft Marine, America's oldest aluminum fishing boat line. Jay's Sporting Goods, trust in the tradition. Cisco Fishing Systems, fish the finest. Smooth moves, smooth your ride. Precision Trolling Data, the Troller's Bible now available in an app. Fish Niagara USA, up close and powerful.
Fish on. Grab the right one.
I would give you the best. Now, which board was that on? You got to fish on one of those, right?
One of them.
You had a 50-50 shot, man. It's really
I was going for them both, you know. Positive thinking, a double.